Norman Finkelstein is an American political scientist, activist, and author, known for his fiercely polemical scholarship on the Israel-Palestine conflict and Holocaust memory. The son of two Jewish Holocaust survivors, his mother survived the Warsaw Ghetto and Majdanek concentration camp. His father survived Auschwitz. Finkelstein positions his work as an act of fidelity to his parents' legacy of never forgetting and resistance to injustice. He holds a Ph.D. in political science from Princeton University. His academic career has been defined by controversy. He was denied tenure at DePaul University in 2007 following a highly publicized battle where prominent figures like Alan Dershowitz lobbied against him. Finkelstein's methodology combines meticulous source-checking, often using his opponent's own documents against them, with a rhetorical style that is unsparing, accusatory, and deliberately provocative. He frames himself as an iconoclast, exposing the corruption of power regardless of the target. Finkelstein argues that the Holocaust, as a capitalized, unique, ideological construct, is not a historical event being remembered, but a political and financial instrument fabricated in the late 1960s and wielded primarily by American Jewish elites. This Holocaust industry, he claims, serves three interlocking purposes. 1. To provide moral immunity for the State of Israel and its policies. 2. To extort massive financial reparations from Europe under the guise of representing all Jewish victims. And 3. To advance the domestic interests of U.S. Jewish organizations by solidifying their power and silencing critics through charges of anti-Semitism. The book is divided into two parts: the ideological construction of the Holocaust and the corrupt pursuit of Holocaust reparations. Part 1. The fabrication of a dogma. Finkelstein postulates that the near silence on the Nazi genocide in the 2 decades following World War II gave way to its dogmatization after the 1967 Arab-Israeli War. Israel's shift from perceived underdog to regional occupier required a new ideological shield. The Holocaust was elevated to a transcendent, unique event outside of history and comparison. Instrumentalization. He contends that this construct was strategically used to deflect criticism of Israel. Any condemnation of Israeli policies could be, and was, deflected as a second Holocaust or motivated by ancient, irrational Jew hatred, thus evading political debate. The double shakedown. Finkelstein introduces his most incendiary charge, that American Jewish elites orchestrated a dual exploitation. First, they shake down Germany and other European nations for billions in reparations, often diverting funds meant for individual survivors to Israeli state projects and their own organizational coffers. Second, they shake down the actual memory of the victims, using their suffering as a moral bludgeon to enforce intellectual conformity and financial gain. Critique of Holocaust scholars. He savagely attacks prominent figures like Elie Wiesel, whom he labels the resident clown of the industry, and Daniel Goldhagen, Hitler's willing executioners, accusing them of promoting a theology of Holocaust uniqueness that is intellectually vacuous and politically useful. This uniqueness, he argues, serves to make Jewish suffering the ultimate standard of human misery, against which all others pale, thereby justifying exceptional political and financial claims. Part 2. The corruption of reparations. This section details what Finkelstein calls the Great Holocaust Robbery. He focuses on the negotiations in the 1990s for Swiss banks, German slave labor, and other reparations. Organized theft. He alleges that organizations like the World Jewish Congress and lawyers such as Ed Fagan engaged in a grotesque, media-driven circus. They inflated victim numbers, made lurid and often unsubstantiated claims, and strong-armed European governments and corporations into multi-billion-dollar settlements. The survivors betrayed. Finkelstein's central moral claim is that the actual survivors, poor, aging, and dying, were cynically used as props in this drama. He presents evidence that a shockingly small percentage of the recovered funds ever reached individual survivors. The most vast majority, he asserts, was funneled to well-funded Jewish organizations, Israeli state projects like the Birthright Program, and the lawyers themselves who took exorbitant fees. The Swiss Banks campaign as a case study. He dissects the campaign against Swiss banks as a masterpiece of moral blackmail and media manipulation, where complex historical realities of wartime neutrality and dormant accounts were reduced to a simplistic narrative of Swiss villainy, enabling a massive financial and PR victory for the industry. Stylistic and argumentative method. Finkelstein's style is not dispassionate. It is forensic and furious. He builds his case through sourcing from the enemy. He frequently quotes the internal memos, financial reports, and public statements of the very organizations he attacks: the World Jewish Congress, the Conference on Jewish Material Claims against Germany, using them to demonstrate greed and cynicism. Comparative genocide. He relentlessly compares the Nazi genocide to other historical atrocities, e.g., the Armenian genocide, the slave trade, to undermine the doctrine of its uniqueness, which he sees as the theological core of the industry's power. Ad hominem attacks. The work is laden with vitriolic personal critiques, calling figures hoaxers, frauds, and gangsters. This is not an incidental flaw, but a deliberate rhetorical strategy to strip his targets of their sanctified authority. Beneath the polemic lies a coherent, radical argument. 1. Memory as a political weapon. Holocaust memory is not sacred or apolitical. It is a currency of power. Those who control its narrative control a potent instrument for moral, political, and financial capital. 2. The betrayal of radical Judaism. Finkelstein positions his work in the tradition of Jewish ethical radicalism. He argues that the Holocaust industry has betrayed the true lesson of the Nazi genocide, solidarity with all victims of oppression, by instead creating a self-aggrandizing, tribalist cult of victimhood that justifies new forms of power and oppression. 3. A call for demystification. The ultimate goal of the book is to demystify the Holocaust, to drag it from the realm of sacred, untouchable dogma back into the realm of history and politics, where it can be analyzed, compared, and its legacy contested without the automatic charge of anti-Semitism. Finkelstein concludes that the Holocaust industry is a moral scandal of the first order. It has corrupted the memory of the Nazi victims, damaged the struggle against genuine anti-Semitism by devaluing the term through overuse, and provided crucial ideological cover for Israeli human rights abuses. His final plea is to honor his parents' experience not by blind reverence to an untouchable industry, but by a commitment to universal justice, implying that the current exploitation of their suffering is the ultimate betrayal. This summary presents Finkelstein's thesis and argumentative structure as articulated in his text. Its claims about financial malfeasance, the timeline of Holocaust memory, and the motives of individuals and organizations are the subject of intense ongoing scholarly and public debate. The book's reception is polarized, hailed by some as a courageous exposé, and condemned by others as a work of vitriolic distortion that feeds anti-Semitic tropes of Jewish power, greed, and conspiracy.